Greg Proud has been dominant the entire time. Here we go, race fans. Green flag is back in the air. Proud is loose. Here comes Naugle on the outside.
Proud spun the tires. Nicholas Naugle to the outside, and Naugle sprints to the lead off the back straightaway. Donald Chisholm works to the outside of Chris Reed.
What a restart from Nicholas Naugle. Greg Proud, dominant for 136 laps, is now in second. He spun the tires on the restart. Donald Chisholm.
Nicholas Naugle sees the white flag first. The 08 car of Naugle trying to win his first Pro Stock Tour race. Greg Proud close enough. Does he lick the stamp? Down into corner number 3. Greg Proud drives it in, but not close enough. Naugle's the first time winner on the tour. He's got a mask up before climbing out of this car. A winner on the Pro Stock Tour. He's out of the car. I can hear you now, Nicholas Naugle. His mother coming over. Welcome to Victory Lane on the tour. Talk about that restart with 14 laps to go.
I really wasn't looking forward to it, I'm not going to lie, but it was like, let's make the most of it. We're here. And man, it hooked up off of 4 and definitely gave me what I needed.
Did you expect?
Welcome into Tim's Corner Live, episode number 13. And that was the last major race that we saw in the province of Nova Scotia. We have our winner, Nicholas Naugle, coming up here in just a few moments' time. Denver Matchett and Dylan Langell with us as well. And Dylan, that was the last major pro stock race that we saw in this province. And, you know, with everything being under lockdown and restrictions and all that other nice stuff, it's a great way to really kick into our show and relive what we had a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it seems so far away, but then not that far away. But yeah, we're staying the Blazes home now again. So if you're in Nova Scotia watching, hope you're doing well and had a positive day with less new cases and vaccine news. But let's escape that tonight. Let's talk some racing. We got 2 great guests. Man, we just saw on the screen there, Nicholas Naugle. And then a guy I just got to know for the first time last year, and I got to try his burger at Speedway Miramichi. Doug Matchett coming up in a bit too.
I can hear Paul Strickland Jr. salivating in the background because we never gave many B-roll of the Dougie specials. So we'll get him acclimated to that in just a few moments' time. But Denver, I know you guys are currently, knock on wood, full steam ahead for the Miramichi opener. So you guys have been busy up in the province of New Brunswick. So this little lockdown sort of kickback, what we're doing down here is not necessarily what you guys are dealing with right now.
For sure, Tim. For now, it's still full speed ahead at Speedway Miramichi. Mind you, it's been a bit more of a stressful week with the key word being variants and all that fun stuff. So, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Everything is uncertain at this point. But at this point, per the current regulations, we can still host stock car racing in the province of New Brunswick, much like they did last weekend down in the state of Maine. So here's hoping that in May, we at least get to see some sort of cars on the track and do that safely. But hopefully we're looking at a much brighter summer, but we're going to have some fun here tonight first. Like Dylan said, some great guests. So it's going to be a lot of fun and, forget anything else that's going on. Let's talk some racing and look forward to what's hopefully to come in 2021.
Now, we are live and interactive as well. So if you have a question, comment, what have you, you want to bring up a subject, conversation, whatever, drop it in the comments. Mr. Langell's over there. He'll take care of you this evening. Now, the one thing we didn't get to on the show last week, but we kind of hinted at it, the East Coast Karting, St. Louis Bar and Grill, Tim's Corner Icebreaker is right now canceled, potentially looking for a date for that coming up in October. But on your screen, as you see it, due to travel restrictions, that is not happening, at least in May. And Denver, we kind of mentioned it as well. You guys can race up there with the Bandoleros currently not able to enter the province of New Brunswick. The riding is pretty much on the wall for that portion of the show. I know the question has been asked about what are we going to do on the broadcast side of it. We are working on it. It's just a matter of trying to put the T's crossed and the I's dotted and whatever else to have something up there for Tim's Corner TV. But for at least at this point, May doesn't look good because the province of New Brunswick doesn't deem media and what we do as production a essential service. So it is what it is. That'll be the way it is right now. But Denver, we're working on it. I know you got some fans in Miramichi that want to see some racing and some fans in Nova Scotia that want to see some racing in Miramichi.
Absolutely, Tim. I know everyone down in Nova Scotia is going through a tough time right now, the 2-week lockdown. And, hopefully at the end of 2 weeks, those restrictions get lifted. But it's so hard to say. Like we said, everything is so uncertain and unpredictable. But the goal is if Speedway Miramichi is racing on May 15th, which as of right now, our understanding is we are okay. But if we are racing, we hope to be providing some sort of alternate option. We're hoping to work out those details. Nothing for certain, but obviously things a little more challenging with the restrictions that are in place. And the $1,400 hotel stay just wouldn't be worth it to broadcast a race live for Tim's Corner. So we're gonna try to work something out. And like you said, I think the writing's on the wall. I think someone said to me earlier that they might have officially announced tonight that that the bubble talks are postponed indefinitely. So that's pretty much on the wall that there will not be a Bandolero blast on May 15th, which is unfortunate. But, I guess any cars on the track, if we can get that, it is better than nothing.
Yeah, Steve Murphy tweeted that, I think, earlier tonight. The premiers had kind of put that on hold, right, Dylan? I know that probably came across your desk today.
Yeah, so the Premier, New Brunswick, PEI, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, Ian Rankin here. We're going through arguably our worst spike of COVID in Nova Scotia. So for now, they're not saying it's done, but they're saying for now, just we're going to hold off. Who knows when that could be coming? Fingers crossed it is the end of May. It could be kind of close to what we had last year with the bubble, but we won't know until we get there. So let's just try and stay positive, good thoughts, and talk some racing to get our minds off this. I know it's been a very stressful week, and we've got a lot of stuff to kind of relive, the glory days, if you will, and stuff to look forward to coming up this year if all goes well.
Yeah, let's get right into it. We've talked enough about COVID and everything else. We'll introduce you to the driver of the number 08 Bricon Construction Mobile 1 Toyota in the Parts for Trucks Pro Stock Tour. It is Nicholas Naugle, and he's been dabbling in some legend car racing as well. It's been a busy couple of years for Nicholas Naugle. We welcome you into the show, Nicholas. Thanks for taking some time out on your busy schedule to join us this evening.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate you guys having me.
How's the winter been for you? Because I know you've been busy trying to get race cars ready and work and everything else. How's the winter been for you?
Even with everything going on, it's been a busy winter. I'm a full-time student over at Dalhousie, so that ate up most of my time and the little bit of spare time I had to try and we've been making some changes on some race cars.
We are live and interactive here this evening, so if you have a question or a comment for Nicholas Naugle, be sure to drop it in the comment box. And I guess the big news, and we kind of didn't really talk about it off the top of the show, but the Pro Stock Tour has a new sponsor in East Coast International. So we kind of joked about it coming on the air here. How much of a getting used to it period is it going to be for you? And instead of dropping Parts or Trucks, be East Coast International?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to get nailed once or twice slipping up there, but I figure as long as I keep saying Pro Stock Tour, I'm on the right track.
Absolutely. And we're still looking at some legend B-roll here from a couple of years ago at Petty International Raceway on that summer shootout deal. So I guess we'll transition a little bit. We'll go legend car and NX racing first. How did you get your start in racing? Because it started in Bandoleros, right?
Yeah, everyone asks me that. There was no one in my family that did it. I kind of hung out with Jordan Bino and that crowd when I was younger and watched them race. And I really wanted to race when I was younger. I always wanted a Bandolero really bad. Me and my dad kind of worked a deal out. I spent a bunch of nights in the shop sweeping up, making the money I could here and there. And once I had enough for about half the car, he went in on the other half, and we bought that first Bando together. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. It became a real bonding experience for us. So did the Bando thing for a couple of years, got a win in that. We were good in a Bando. We weren't stellar, but we got it done. And then from there, we knew we definitely wanted to keep going. So we got into legend car racing there. And at that point, we started meeting a bunch of people down south and racing with some of the best guys down there. And it just got better and better as we went on. And it was an awesome experience. We got to race here and all over the states, and anywhere there was racing going on, we were looking to get there.
You always remember that first win. What do you remember about that Bandolero win?
That Bandolero win was real special. I mean, it really was the break of where it went. Oh, okay, now I understand why this is. Well, what is the payout at the end of this? I mean, racing is a great time. Don't get me wrong, but it is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of hours spent in the shop, but you forget about all that when you get a win. When you get that first win under your belt, it's like, okay, I want to keep doing this. No more running around the back. It's time to get stuff done.
You mentioned the down south stuff, and it kind of started with Winter Nationals. That's kind of where everything kind of starts for everybody that heads down south, at least in the NX program. Your first trip was Auburndale, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I began racing down south with Chris Woods. A couple of boys from up here raced with him, and we got down there thanks to Cole Boudreau. He introduced us, of all people. And once we got down there, we ran the first week international INEX Winter Nationals, and it was a good time. I mean, it was a real eye opener for me to see the different styles of racing that there really was. Like when you're racing against the boys down south versus here. The following year when we went, it would have been the transition year for me between Legends and Bandoleros. And I remember we debated whether or not we were going to bring both cars because that winter we had ran at Concord. They had the 80 lap Bando race and a 50 lap Legend money race. So us being the smart people we are decided why not run both? So my first experience in a Legend car was the 50 lap, I want to say $500 or $1,000 to win money race with a 40 lap race in a Bando before and a 40 lap race after. So it was plenty busy. And at that point, I think we made the decision that it was just time to move on and get in a Legend car and go Legend racing.
You mentioned Woody, and we had Sam Rogers on the show here a couple of weeks ago, and we kind of asked him about his favorite Woody stories. Do you have any favorite Woody stories from back in the day?
There plenty I probably shouldn't talk about on here. And I mean, Woody was great. Woody and Christy, his wife, they took us in. I mean, they were like family to us. They just brought us right into their home, and that's what they are. I mean, we became great friends with them and loved them like family. There's no better way to explain it. We'd go out racing, and then we'd all go out to Hooters or something. And it was funny, whenever I was with Woody, no matter what time of year it was, it seemed like we'd go to Hooters and it would be my birthday. For some reason, I have no clue why. It always ended up to be my birthday.
I think there was a couple of trips that were like that. I think I remember a couple of those. We're live and interactive here this evening with Nicholas Naugle. Don't be shy. Dylan Langell doesn't bite. It's COVID. He's not allowed to bite. Dylan, what do you got?
I may have to, Tim, because I'm not seeing any questions for Nicholas here. There's a lot of people, a lot of Brandon Campbell talk. He wants to get on the show, but we're not talking about him tonight.
Does he even have a race car?
It's pretty beat up mini stock. It looks like he got in an accident from what I can tell.
So it looks like you have driven it before.
Maybe in a demo race.
Okay, well, that's it's good to hear that Brandon's there.
There is a comment here from Jordan Vino, and he wrote he has come a long way from being hosed down with a garden hose at 660. Got a story about that there, Nicholas?
You know what it's like at 660 for Speed Weekend. If it rains, the place becomes a mud pit. I mean, there's no way around it. And I can definitely recall once or twice spending a lot of time. I think it was before my Bando days, might have been the first year. We'd get bored and go slide through the mud holes and come back to the trailers covered head to toe in mud. And I do recall a group of them grabbing me by my ankles and hosing me down before they'd let me go in the trailer. All I remember is how cold the water was, but it was definitely good. Those are the times you remember that you had fun with. Like that was half the race for me, was getting to hang out with everyone and just have a good time.
I just brought up a question on the top of my head because we were talking about a mini stock there. Have you dabbled in 4-cylinder or mini stock racing before, Nick?
No, I've thought about it. I'd like to do it. Honestly, I'd like to get a couple of my buddies into it. That was the goal. I'd like to always bring more people to the track. It's a great time. Everyone should experience it. But especially with the way the rules play out at Scotia Speed World. I'm not technically eligible to move back into a mini stock or anything there. And I don't really have the urge to go out and buy a car just to go race at Petty. But if a ride were to open up or something and someone needed a fill-in driver for a night, I definitely wouldn't say no. I mean, that goes with anything. Anything I can get my hands on, I love to race.
I'm going to put words in Lawrence Hopper's mouth, and I know he loves when I do this. But I think with the Thunder rules, if it's still the way it is, you can still run a Honda. You just can't run a Neon with the way the Thunder and the Lightning is. Because Haas used to go back into a Thunder car and run a Thunder car from time to time. So if you build a Honda, I think you're able to go back and do it, just not a Neon. And I'm sure I heard actually this week there were some Hondas changing hands and something about Dave Matthews and Cody Byrne might have picked up another car. So maybe there's some on the move. There might be a couple of Hondas here before the racing season. They come up for sale.
Yeah, you never know with all this COVID stuff. I hate to say it. I've seen quite a few cars come up for sale, but I mean, like I said, Tim, I'm not opposed to jumping in anything to make a couple laps. It looks like a great time, in all honesty. I think I could go out in one of those cars. I don't think I could do the best. There's a lot of real good guys out there, but I think it would definitely be a good time.
If it's got four wheels, you'll drive it, right?
It doesn't even have to have four wheels. If it has a steering wheel, I want to get behind it. So
exactly. Jordan Vino is watching, and the roles are kind of reversed now. We're kind of jumping back and forth here, but he's going into a pro stock this year. You were there a couple of years ago where you were making that jump into a pro stock. Now, obviously, a sportsman legend jump, a little bit different, but from a driver that's won a race in the series now, that has been around, has won at New Smyrna Speedway, what kind of advice can you give Jordan Vino, hopping in with these guys and yourself that have a couple of years experience under their belt?
it's definitely an entire different mentality to run a pro stock car. I run in the legend car, even with 50 lap races and stuff. We all used to say, oh, we'd get out front. We'd say, when you jump into a pro stock car and you really understand what that means, you really don't. Because with the pro stock, it's a lot more mental game is the best way I could play it. It's no longer you're just trying to be the fastest car out there. You're trying to be the most consistent. You're trying to make sure you're staying smooth. And the biggest thing with the jump is you kind of almost have to realize you are in a different car, and you can relate some stuff, but a lot of it doesn't. A pro stock car takes a whole lot of time. It becomes a full-time job, and they appreciate the effort. You can't just put it in a box every week and come back to the track and go again. Especially with our tour, you're never on the same track 2 weeks in a row. And with the Pro Stocks Tour's testing policy, where we're not allowed to test a week prior to the race, it makes it really hard to dial it in prior to race day. So you will have to be on top of your game when you unload. And then those 3 practice sessions we get, I mean, you're making minute changes. You're supposed to make minute changes. I'll put it that way. We know that we have a habit of taking big swings at the car. Or I've been known to change a car once or twice between the time we unloaded. But yeah, it's just a big effort thing. That's all it comes down to. If you want to put the time and effort into it, and don't get discouraged the first season when you're not out on top, and just do your thing and pick away, and it does come.
The legend car step that you mentioned, you had a lot of success in a legend car, and you still do some legend car racing. From those legend car full-time days, what's your biggest memory? Because I know you got a couple of big wins in there, the Winter Nationals Championship. What's the biggest takeaway from those days?
Tim, the legend car, I had so many opportunities in that. We raced world finals multiple times, running the road course stuff. That was always a blast. I got to race all across the United States. The coolest one was definitely probably winning the championship in Vegas. That was an awesome race. It was an awesome place to win that race. That was really cool. But I mean, that's another step. Once me and Chris Woods, I don't want to say part ways. We didn't part ways. I just went with a different team to race a legend car. I started racing with Dennis Lambert, and him and Mark Narstead. I mean, the two of them helped me out big time. They became great friends of mine. My father and them became great friends, and we made a lot of memories doing that and traveling across the country. Me and my father funny story was the time we went to go race nationals in Waterford, Connecticut. I don't know if you recall how that one played out, but we spent
A lot of rain that weekend, right?
yeah, we went down a month prior testing, and then we showed up for the race day, and we sat around for 3 days, ran heats, qualified, and then never ran a feature. That was always a good story. But yeah, like I said, we've got the race in a lot of different spots, and that's the thing I do enjoy about that legend car is we could race here on Friday night in Scotia, put the car in the trailer, and drive to North Carolina and race the next day if we wanted to. It wasn't like a pro stock versus a super or pro late. Like you really could race them anywhere.
And you still do some legend car racing. There's been some changes though the last couple of years. The FC09 motor, the Hoosier tire. What's your take on all these, I guess, innovations that are coming into the sport?
They're trying. It really doesn't seem like it for the guys that have been running it forever, but they're really trying to make a more even playing field, so you don't see as many big money teams coming in and trying to dominate the sport. And it's working. But for a guy like me, I love to run a legend car. Any chance I get, I'll jump back in my legend car. It's just a time issue for me. I really believe that the two cars are so different, and it just keeps you well versed to be able to swap back and forth between them. But I mean, that new motor, I have one. It's cool. It's definitely a lot less power than the old one, but I can see that. I think that hurts the drivers a little bit, in all honesty, because I know with the 1250s, you really had to pedal it off the corner, and it was more of a finesseful thing. But with these new motors, they're not as bad. You're really more like a crate versus a big motor in a full size car. And then the new tires, I haven't had a chance to run on them yet, but by the sounds of it, I'm gonna have to figure it out here, and it'll be a little hard where we're not running full time, trying to figure this stuff out, but we'll definitely get it under our belts and see what we can figure out. I'd like to do a little bit of legend car racing this year and just try and keep up with the Friday night stuff. I mean, I'm going out there every week. I'm helping Sam McDonald with her bando car, and I just like to go out and hang out on Friday nights, give them all the help I can, and the odd time if I get to run a legend car, it's awesome.
You mentioned Sam moving into a Bandolero, but we've got some of those kids that are now moving from a Bandolero to a legend car, like you did a couple of years ago, the Gage Gilbys, the Chase McKays, the Dylan Dows, moving in from a Bandolero into a legend car full time. And now they're challenging, when you're there, when Corey Hall's there, Braden Langel's there. How cool is that to see the next generation come up where you were 5, 6, 7 years ago?
It's definitely neat. I mean, that's what I really enjoy. Like when we raced the summer shootout, I got to race against Danny Chisholm there, and we really battled back and forth there. And that was really cool for me because I remember seeing Danny when he was as tall as the trash cans, like running a bando car back at Scotia, and really cheering him on and watching him come up through the ranks and getting to see these kids really progress the same way we did. It's really cool to see that our sport's still continuing in that manner. And especially with them allowing them to run the legend cars younger now. It's definitely weird to see, and I wish it would have been around when we were there, but seeing the young kids in it and getting used to the cars, I think it's really cool. It's a good step forward to what we're looking for. The only thing that I am kind of disappointed about is the fact that Cy Harvey isn't out there pushing these kind of kids around the same way he used to us. I can recall going out with Cy Harvey during practices, and he'd be trying to bump draft you. Like, he'd be sending you into the corner, and we all thought that he was just trying to pick on us. But, I mean, it really did shape us as drivers.
You're going to need a vintage car now, I guess. He's hooked on the vintage car. You've seen this before where he gets on a kick. He went to the pro stock for a couple of years and kind of took the legend car off and, came back and ran some legend car stuff. And now he's running the vintage car. I think he'll be back. It's just a matter of how long it takes him to get back there. He says he's still got the toys and everything else to do the game. So I think you'll see him back. You might just have to wait a little while longer, though.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool to see Cy back out there. I mean, like that was the thing when you were young watching. You always knew that when you got to his league, Cy was going to push you around a little bit, shape you. But I hate to say it, Cy doing stuff like that, and all the older guys, being so tough on me going through the legend car division made me the driver that I am today. I mean, being able to start, especially with Scotia, where they start people in their own manner where they feel like it, and starting at the rear every week and then picking your way through the field to get up front every week. I didn't realize what it was actually doing, but when I began racing down south, what it made me able to do is make my way through a field, and you were able to start near the rear and not worry so much about how fast your car was and really pick away. And that it helps me a lot in the pro stock tour and stuff like that. Whereas I've noticed down south, the kids who are used to having fast cars, they'll start up front, and if they get back, they will make it back up front, but occasionally they just seem to have a hard time just picking and choosing.
It's kind of the racecraft sort of thing that we've seen the last couple of years down there, right?
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. That's where I've noticed the difference in the generation of the drivers is the ability to really take a bad situation and make something good of it instead of starting at the back and going, "Oh no, it's really okay. I got a little bit of work to do, but we're gonna do it." And that's the ordeal with that last race with Greg Proud there. I was expecting that race to have a couple cautions, really play around with it a little bit. When we were on lap 125 and we are still green flag, I thought the chances were done there. I was like, okay, we settled in the third. I've saved my gear, but we just didn't have enough time. So on that restart there, having that opportunity, it really helped.
I want to talk a little more about those two races in 2020 at the end of the season. But Dylan, is social active yet? Are you seeing anybody on there?
It's still a little quiet. So again, don't be shy. We're an open book here. Nick's an open book for the most part, I think. So we'll get some answers from him. But Nick, you've been on the Pro Stock Tour for a little bit. Mike Dusky's wondering who's the hardest Pro Stock guy to pass or race with.
Oh my, that is a great question. Depends how you want to phrase that. I mean, racing with boys like Cole Butcher and Dylan and them, they're going to be hard to get around, but it's not a dirty driving. They are just great drivers. And I love having the opportunity to run side by side with them. I would much rather that over being beat around and shoved and pushed. But you can get side by side, door to door with Cole and them, and you will run with them side by side for tens of laps. Me and Cole used to do it in a legend car. I mean, it was always fun. Those were the fun times. You really got out there and you raced hard. It wasn't get pushed around and shoved and all that. But I mean, our tour, it's unique, especially on the tire compound we're on and the shock compound. Like, depending on the track, you might have a good run out of 2, but then nothing out of 4. And there's a lot of really good drivers that can hold you out there. There's not really many people I get around that I'm nervous to race around. You kind of get there and you do your thing. But as far as hard drivers go, I mean, there's 5 or 6 drivers at the front of the field every week that you're going to get up there and you're going to have to race for that position and pray you don't slip up. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, we do have our few drivers through the tour that, they'll rough you up a little, but it is what it is. That's the best way to put it. It's racing. That's it. It's a good time to have.
Brent Patterson always watches us every Wednesday. So, hey, Brent, thanks for being here. And one of his questions that he always brings up, and it's always a different story with every driver because we go through different experiences, but what would you say is your worst wreck in your career so far, Nick?
Oh, boy. That's in what car? That's the best question. I mean,
all right, we'll go through all of them.
A lot of our viewers might not remember it, but I mean, back when I was in a bando, I do recall 2 real good smashes. One at Scotia in a heat race where we flipped the car over, slid it sideways, smoked the axle and bent it like a banana, and the car rolled over. It didn't really hurt. It was carnage. And then a couple times at Petty before all the walls were there, I can recall launching the bando off the end of that. That was never really the most fun. Took a couple good licks in the pro stock car now. Couple smashes at Hickory down south. Real good one at Speed Weeks this year. Or I guess last year now. We got tied up in a caution coming off a 2, and the throttle just hung on the car. And I mean, it smoked the inside wall and knocked the master cylinders off the car, that tore the shock mounts off the thing, moved the clip 4 inches. Like, it was a pretty good smash. And then as far as local stuff goes, the one time we got shoved into the pit wall at Scotia Speed World and moved the clip there, that was it was enough where you kind of got out of the car and shook your head and made sure you were good. And probably I'd say last year's worst one was the one at 660 when we went over the end there. And we had a parts failure, unfortunately, and there was nothing really to do there. It didn't hurt. Unfortunately, it hurt the car very bad. But it was more of a shock to go off the backstretch there and not know what was going on because there was so much smoke. That sand is great, except you have nothing you can do as a driver once you're in it.
Nathan Blackburn Road, how about you and the bando flying into the pits at Petty 2 times in one day? Is that what you were just talking about there?
Yeah, down in 1 and 2 back when they used to have the tractor tires there. I recall because in the heat race, got smoked and just threw it down into the pits. Didn't hurt the car, did the loop, came back out, kept going. But unfortunately, in the feature, when I did the same thing again, got hit, but this time we moved the tractor tire with the bando and landed in pit road, and it toasted the car. That was about all that was left of it.
Holy moly. We got a question from Jason Pickles about your Riverside win. We'll save that for in a little bit when we really dive into that. But here on Facebook, Brent Roberts is wondering, Nick, what's your favorite maritime racetrack to race at and why?
That's a great question. I used to love Petty back in the Legend days. That's where I got my first win. That's where I cut my teeth. Like, it was an awesome track in a Legend car. As I moved into the pro stock, I mean, each track was so unique. It ran in such a different way. I love racing Scotia because it's my home track. I mean, there's nothing better than the spot you can go and turn a bunch of laps, and the spot where I grew up. But I mean, Riverside. How can I say anything other than Riverside right now? First win there, fast track, and it's always been either good or bad to us. There's no in the middle. There's no finishing midfield. It was always we did well or we did. I love that place. It's a beautiful facility, but I mean, they all have their ups and downs, and I love them all. I mean, Petty's fun. Wayne's great. I mean, he's all for racing and hosting as many races as he can at that place. So can't complain about that. And I mean, the New Brunswick track, 660, it's always a good time to go there. We've had a bunch of heartache at that track, unfortunately, and always been fast for the big race down there, but unfortunately could never make it happen. Always something came about. But yeah, no, if I had to choose out of all of them right now, I'd have to say Riverside. But I mean, I don't think anyone blames me after getting my first win on the tour there. So
You mentioned Wayne Smith. Now, you guys have something in common after he went down and won a race at New Smyrna in the sportsman car. Have you talked to Wayne about that win? Because I know he was pretty jacked up about it, but now you have that win in common down there, albeit yours was in a late model. His was kind of in a sportsman car. Have you talked to him about that yet?
I haven't had a chance to talk to Wayne. He doesn't. Once I get back together with him at the track, I'm sure we'll have a couple late night conversations about it. But I mean, it's surreal to win down there. I can tell you that for sure. That's where we got our first late model win, like that first night at New Smyrna last year, and it's really cool. It is definitely the stage to do it on. Show up down there, and that was another case where I started outside pole and kind of got out front there and just prayed, just kept driving as hard as we could and seeing if we could make it happen. And to be able to pull it off there was awesome. It was an awesome feeling. I was real happy for not only me, but my entire team. They put in so many hours on that car. My father especially, like, they put their heart and soul into it, and they're the reason I can do it every week. So I can't thank them all enough.
Now, I want to kind of fast forward in 2020. Before we get to the Riverside win, I want to talk about the Jim Hallahan 250. You dominated that race, led a bunch of laps in it. The big thing for me is when we had that halfway break, I went over and I talked to Jim because we did the tire draws and everything else. And Dylan was over doing the other portion of the show, and I asked Jim off the microphone. I said, "What do you think of this race?" And the only thing he could say was Nicholas Naugle. And he was impressed. How cool was it to? I know you were a little bummed not winning that race, but how cool was it to be a part of that race, finish on the podium, and be in there with Jim?
It was awesome. Really, that was one of the turning points for our season. We didn't have the best of luck at the beginning of the season this year, and then to get to that race and run like we did, it was awesome, and especially the race for Jim. I mean, Jim's been around sport forever, and he did so much for us. And I as long as I was in a pro stock car, I can always remember him coming over to me and just always telling me, "You'll get there, you'll get there. You're doing great." Like he was a real big supporter for me, and I can't thank him enough for that. I mean, he helped us. He helped me so much with my confidence, and he really watched me.
Now we
That
look,
a third place trophy, to have that trophy with his name on it and to run like we did. It was just an awesome experience.
and then a couple of weeks later, you go to Riverside and you get the big trophy. Greg Proud, we talked about it earlier, dominated that race. You got him on the restart, and Greg said in victory lane, straight up, I got beat. It was one of those races where you had to be on it, and then you held him off at the end. Greg Proud, brand new race car, big story, and then you kind of stole the thunder away from him. How big was that win at Riverside International Speedway with the COVID being the only race at Riverside that year? How big was that?
Tim, that was awesome for me. Like, it's so hard, even though we had that win in the bag already down in Florida, not having one here on home turf. Like, it was very hard for me mentally. I needed to get there, especially for my team. I needed it. I really wanted to get that first win for them, and to be able to go there and truly just outright didn't move them, didn't try and wreck them, just beat them there on that start and then hold them off there at the end. It was awesome. It was one of those situations where once I was out front, it was hit the mirror, don't look at it, let's go get this, let's bring this home. And that was all I had on my sights. Was I don't care if the car's good, bad, indifferent. At this point, it's do everything that I can and get out front and win this thing.
Now, not we didn't have points. We only had two races last year. But if you look at those two races, you had the best average finish of those two races that we had in Nova Scotia. Have you talked to Dylan Blankhorn about, maybe taking the trophy for a couple of days before? Obviously, it has to get redone now because there's a new sponsor on the series. So have you talked to him about potentially having that trophy for a little bit?
I've mentioned it to him. I definitely wouldn't mind having it sitting here on the desk next to me. I mean, we did technically finish the best in the two Maritime Pro Stock Tour races that year. So technically, if you want to say we could be the unofficial 2020 champion, it would be definitely nice to at least hold the trophy, get the picture, do the whole 9 yards. It would be really cool for sure. Definitely might have to bring it up to him again and see if next time I'm up in Toronto, maybe if I can take it out of the showroom.
Now, with the two races, there's momentum that's going into the season. Obviously, with COVID, we're not sure what's going to happen. It kind of looks like the first couple of races might be up in the air, at least at this point, with lockdowns and travel restrictions and everything else. But when we do go racing, do you feel that target on your back? Do you feel any pressure going into this 2021 East Coast International Maritime Pro Stock Tour season?
I don't know if I'd call it a target, but I definitely do have a bit of momentum going into this next season. Near the end, we were definitely starting to get this Rendoran race car figured out and starting to make this thing work. And I was happy to win that race, but I was also disappointed that the season was over at that point. It would have been nice to definitely keep that ball rolling, but going into this next season, I mean, people know we're here now. That's what it comes down to. I definitely think the front runners are thinking of us. They keep seeing us popping up on that top 5 every week with the times and practice, and just trying to stay out there and stay consistent. I think we'll be good going into this season. Put a lot of shop hours in over the winter, and I don't know that we'll have an any bigger target than we did before. But I mean, I definitely think that when we go out this season, we will be a contender.
We are live and interactive. Still got a couple of more minutes left with Nicholas Naugle. Now, before I go to Denver, because I see the wheels turning up there, I'm going to get Paul to put the pictures up on the screen that I sent him a little bit earlier. Your paint schemes have been black. They've been, black and white, black and blue. I think there was some silver this year. SpongeBob, let's go back a couple of years because that car darn near won a 250 in Fredericton. How cool was it to do something completely different with the race car?
It was definitely neat. Like it was very out of the ordinary for me. If you look back at my cars, other than the Bando, once we moved to a black car, we ran a black car, and that's how it's always been. I I hate to say it, I enjoyed the decal thing, but it is what it is for me. I don't care what's on the side of the car as much anymore. Put a set of numbers on it and let's go racing. I want this thing to be fast, and if I get the side tore off, you put a door on it, you put a single number on it, and you go. The SpongeBob was cool. It was really cool at the time. It was cool for the kids. I mean, that was the biggest thing that I found awesome about it was all these little kids that would come up and they'd, oh, that's such a cool car, and they'd want pictures of it and all that. And it really brought it back to the sport for me. Like that's one of the coolest things about the sport we do is the fans. Getting to see all these families coming out and giving them something to cheer for. That's the biggest thing. I enjoyed it. I like being able to see full families come out here and get these kids interested in racing. Get them at a young age so that they're the ones sitting there going, "Hey, can I try that? Can I get out there?" Like get the next generation of kids started racing.
Denver, I know you've been quiet over there. What do you got for Nicholas Naugle?
All right, Nicholas. So the first thing I want to take a little bit of a step back and go back to when you first transitioned into the pro stocks, the late models. In 2017, you went down to Hickory for the Easter Bunny, and you would have only had probably a handful of races under your belt. You put up a pretty good performance down there with a top 10 run in a big race like that. What was it about that race? You know, things clicked, and you go out there and really opened a lot of eyes.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed racing that race, and I've been trying to get back to it every year. It's a nice turning point for me being a college student. That's usually about the time when I just finished exams, and it's really my start into race season. So I'll leave here and I'll go down and I'll race that race and hang out for a bit. And just running with the boys that I ran with down south and getting the opportunities I have, I'm more than thankful. Like it's just awesome to go down there and race with. Again, it's a different crowd. It's a different breed of racing. You're on a different tire, different shocks. It's a whole new car, and just moving from the stuff we run on up here on the hard tire with the shocks that we run to a sticky tire with really nice high rebound shocks. I mean, being in a car that felt like a race car, I did what I was able to at that point, and I really do feel like that was the point where we noticed that how much of a difference that these tires and stuff did make. And running up here on this hard tire, I mean, the cars aren't very forgiving. It's easy to see. You get it into a slide and the car just wants to keep going around on you, and you have to be careful with them. And going down there on something that's a real sticky, soft tire, I was able to get out there and push the car way harder than I had ever done it before. And I think that definitely helped my momentum moving forward. I mean, that race down there, it's a unique race to run. It's a race where you need to have a big motor to go out there and qualify with the supers. But then at the end of the race, you're wishing that you had a crate motor because you have no tire left. So it's a very unique mix of cars that you get in there.
So then after that race, 2017 was your first full year in the tour. And I believe you missed one race through it that year, but it was a very competitive rookie class that year. There was Jared, I think Stephen Lively, Robbie McEwen. What do you remember about some of those battles from that rookie season?
Yeah, that first season, I don't think we really realized we were racing for the rookie championship. It was just kind of we were trying to get our feet wet in the pro stock, and it was like at first it was, oh, we'll run a couple races, and then it just kept going and going. We ran the races we wanted to. We were unable to make one of them, and that took us out of contention. But I mean, the battle between me and Jared was very strong that entire season, and it's been strong since then. It's always who's going to get the next step ahead is the best way to put it. And me and Jared always seem to be there side by side, week after week. He'll finish eighth, I'll finish seventh. He'll finish third, I'll finish fourth. It's just we're swapping places back and forth here, and that those battles continued on even past that rookie battle. I mean, they progressed so much further than that.
You maybe have that little edge now. You got your first pro stock win before Jared. He might have got rookie of the year and had some good points runs, but you got that first win. So But another thing I want to ask you, in 2019, you went out to Ontario to Jukasa for the Canadian Short Track Nationals. They obviously did Riverside, for us is a beautiful track, and what the Chisholms did is phenomenal. And you kind of see what they did out at Jukasa. It's very similar. What did you think of that race, and what did you think of that facility?
It's it's nothing like you could ever imagine. That the track is so smooth that you can't wear the splitter off the car. You go down there and it speeds like we've never seen before. I recall it was the first time I've ever been running the late model, and you get tucked up behind someone and it would get arrow tight on you. It wasn't no longer about setup. You'd actually get in behind someone, run right up to them, and then as you got behind them, you couldn't turn under them. It was just it was a different experience, but it was an awesome experience. I've been trying to get back there, and again, unfortunately, with everything going on, we haven't been able to. But it's a race that you have to run at least once. It's a beautiful facility to go down there and run. It's a very competitive race. Not everyone makes the show, and we were lucky enough to. And it's a great time. In all honesty, it's a different experience. There's no trailers in the infield, so from a fan's perspective, it's great to watch. Everyone sits set up down in there with their tents and their tires and everything geared up in one spot, and you live down in the middle of the track for 3 days straight. But it's a competitive, hard race to run, and you really have to be on top of your game. You're racing with the best of the best when you're there, and it's a lot of money on the line.
Absolutely, that's probably the richest race around. Now, let's say whenever COVID goes away, hopefully 2021 we get to see borders opening, or maybe 2022. But whenever that comes to be, is there any other races on your bucket list you'd like to go run? Maybe a snowball derby, an Oxford 250, or something like that.
My hope in the following years is I'd like to finish my engineering degree next year. And when that's done, the hope is I'd love to go down and run every crown jewel race I can get my hands on. Go down there, run a Rattler, go run a Winchester, go run a Snowball Derby, Oxford 250, anything really. A West Coast, East Coast. I want to race every late model race that I can get into. And I'd like to win every single one of those crown jewel races before I'm done my career. It would definitely be an experience. At some point, I do want to have a rattlesnake around my neck. That would be an awesome experience.
That's one. There's not. If I ever had a card, there would be one race I would intentionally not want to win, and that would be the one race I would not. I would not want to do that. But obviously, that's definitely a big race, and all those races are huge. But let's talk. We kind of joked you're unofficially the 2020 Pro Stock Tour champion. What's it going to take for you to go actually get your name on it in a full season? Is that, I assume that's one of your big goals?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who knows me knows I don't championship race. I never have. I don't care for it. It's too much pressure. I go out there to race. I go out there to have fun. And the hope is we're going to go out there and race, and we're going to do very well in every race this year, and the championship will fall in line. But I don't have any intentions of trying to worry about championship points or anything like that. My goal is every time I strap into that car, I'm trying to win, and there's nothing that's going to come second to it.
You mentioned the Snowball Derby and those crown jewel races. You've worked with Travis Braden in the past, haven't you? How cool is that to have that connection there? There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's funny. Travis is a real good buddy of mine. I've met him through Dennis Lambert actually, and he helped us a couple years in Florida. And Travis is just a good kid. He's about 2 years older than me. He followed the same track. He's an engineer. He got himself an ARCA ride for a while there. He was running that team, and then he was doing a bunch of late model racing. And Travis is just an awesome kid to be around. He's taught me so much. He's the guy that taught me how to qualify the way that I do, and he's helped me more than anyone can. I still text Travis all the time and ask him little things. Hey, well, the car's doing this. What can I do? Hey, I need a little help here. And I can't thank him enough for everything he's done. All the boys we met. Racing is so much more than just racing, and people don't understand that. It's the time and the effort that's put into it, but it's all the friends I've made through it. I mean, my best friend Cole Boudreaux, you know him. He was around the track for a long time. Cole was something. Travis Braden, all the boys down south, Butch and Johnny Van Dorn, they've helped me more than you can even imagine. I mean, they're great guys and they really understand what's going on up here. And just everyone, Woody, Dennis, all the boys down south, and the guys around here that I've become great friends with, my team. Like it's a truly a bonding experience. It's unlike any other sport you're ever going to do.
I chatted with Cole a couple of weeks ago and kind of brought the idea of eventually when we get this show going, maybe in the wintertime, about a where are they now episode, because Cole's out west doing his thing, and be kind of cool to connect with him on the show. But what do you think it would take for him to come back east and get in a race car for one race?
I don't think you're gonna have to twist his arm very hard. I mean, me and Cole talk almost every day. Cole lived with me for a while. Like that just shows how deep these things go. Cole, once he was out of school, he came and lived with me for 2 years to go do his schooling, and he's just my best friend. Like we've done so much together. But I've offered him. I mean, you've seen him in my cars before. He's definitely always there if I need a fill-in driver. He's finished on the podium many times in my legend cars, and yeah, I'm sure if I said, "Hey Cole, you want to come back and run a pro stock race?" he'd be on a plane and on his way out here. Yeah, he's definitely a unique kid, we'll put it that way, but he's a hell of a wheel man.
I'm sure if he heard that, the flight would have already been booked, right?
Definitely. I think if it wasn't for COVID, Cole would be here this season helping me even more than you know.
Well, hopefully we can get this COVID out of the way and get him and get back to normal, where we can travel and do some more racing outside of our Atlantic borders. We're almost to the last call on social media. So if you have any questions, comments, drop them down below. Dylan, what do you got? I see the Iron Man's hanging out in the chat.
Yeah, Gary Elliott's watching. Hey, Gary, thanks for tuning in. You know, with the Pro Stock Tour, Nick, you've got different drivers where some are just getting into it for the first time, and then someone like a Gary Elliott who's been doing it for over 50 years. How cool is that? And you mentioned about Cy Harvey, where you get to share the track with different legends from different parts of Canada, but just also to have that experience driving side by side with them too, with the stories they have. How cool is that?
Yeah, that is an awesome experience, seeing the history that went on here, like way before my time, and being able to race with these guys is awesome. And the fact that they're still enjoying doing it. The one of the coolest ones for me is definitely John Fleming. If you look back in the history books, there's definitely photos of me, I don't know, 8 years old, 5 years old, very young, standing beside John Fleming, winning Cat 250s and stuff like that. And that's what I always told John, is that someday I'm going to get a photo with me holding that Cat 250 champion, that Cat 250 trophy, and give it to him to put on his mantle beside the one he has himself, because I found that really cool watching these guys that I grew up watching, and now these people I envied racing against them. People like Mike McKenzie. Mike McKenzie helps me more in the shop and all the time, and we'll just sit there and reminisce, and he'll tell me about the old NASCAR days and all the old racing they used to do. And I have photos of his old rookie cards and stuff. And it's really cool to see the history that went on and how much cars have changed. The difference between back in the days running big sprint cars and stuff, and now to the bump stop setups and everything that we're on right now, and how much different driving style it takes, and the difference between the old school cars being able to stick handle them and really drive them versus now having to really get dialed in before you can do anything.
That's pretty much all we got for now, Tim.
You have some banter back and forth there, I do see, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of banter.
Ryan Matthews is there. Well, Brandon Campbell is there too. I can see half of his comments. But yeah, if you're there, you're live, interactive, drop us a comment. Got a couple more minutes left before we get to Mr. Excitement, Doug Matchett. We talked about a mini stock. There's different racetracks around here that we don't get to on the Pro Stock Tour. There's different race cars that you might not have been able to get into. Is there any car and track combination, at least locally, that you've kind of seen, hey, that looks cool, I want to try that at some point?
I mean, Tim, there's lots of different ones I'd love to. I mean, the one that I kind of would love to get behind the wheels again, and I think it would be cool, would be a Bando at a 660 again. In all honesty, I think that would be a great time. I might be a bit heavier than the rest of them, but it'd still be a good time nonetheless. But I mean, there's a lot of different things. When the truck series used to be around, I always wouldn't mind trying those. And a sportsman car, I wouldn't mind getting in the sportsman car just to see the difference. That's the biggest thing for me. I've heard a lot about them, but I've made a handful of laps in Jordan Bino's when I was younger, but none since I've been in a pro stock car. And I'd love to get behind the wheel of something like that at Scotia or something, my home track, just to really see the difference and see what I could do and if I could make it happen.
Well, Wayne's got a $5,000 to win street stock and a $5,000 to win sports and race, and it's on an off weekend for us. So, if there's anybody out there that's got a race car, you'll hold the steering wheel for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I know that's for sure. If someone's looking for a driver, here I am. Definitely, any chance I get to try something like that, I'd be into it.
I want to ask you about family because we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, and the extended racing family that we have. But your mother and your father are probably your two biggest fans. I can hear Connie from all the way over on the other side when we're at Scotia. There's glass between me and the racetrack, and I'm sure that I can hear her half the time anyway. She's cheering so loud. How cool is it to have them supporting you and your racing career?
Yeah, no, Tim, there's nothing better. This is a family ordeal for me, first off, and to have the support of my mom and my dad like I do. They made it possible for me to do this. They traveled with me everywhere. My father puts in more hours on a race car than people believe. It's a second job for him, but he loves doing it, and I love the fact that he's so into it and that we can do it together. My mother, you couldn't have put it better, Tim. You definitely know where she's at anytime that I finish on the front stretch because you can hear it clear as day. I mean, even my girlfriend, she's very supportive. She understands how many hours this takes and long nights in the shop. She'll be there and help me. I mean, all of them, not just even my blood family. I mean, my crew spends so many hours, late nights at the shop, plenty of midnights, plenty of 1 a.m.s, just getting the cars ready and helping me and coming to the track with me every week. It's a big commitment. You're giving away all your weekends basically through the summer to come racing, but we do it and we camp together and we just enjoy it. We spend a lot of time together and make an event out of it. We've really figured out a way to balance the work and play. Saturday morning, you wake up and you know what you have to do. You go head into the pits and you start doing your job. But Saturday night, when everything's done, you're able to go back and sit around a campfire and really enjoy the time you have with these people you love.
Now, before we cut you loose, I know Paul is here. Paul's our producer at Vidane TV and does a lot of the sim racing stuff. And I know we kind of chatted back and forth at 660 on Speed Weekend about you trying to get your sim rig together, but with COVID and everything else, it was kind of hard to put everything together. How's the sim rig coming together? Have you been doing any online racing? I know we're showing a couple of highlights of some of the RBR races, but have you done any sim racing here recently?
Yeah, Tim, actually, it's a pastime that I've picked up that I've loved since COVID started. I built a whole new sim rig downstairs, and I've been running a weekly series with a bunch of guys called Bluegrass High Racing. They're actually on tonight after this. That's where I'm headed. And we run Cup Series races weekly, big championships on the line, and a lot of really good hard racing. And I've run with the local guys, and I love doing that in the super lates. And it's really a way to still stay behind the seat when I'm not able to. I know I can get into my sim rig, turn 1,000 laps in New Smyrna, and then when I go roll out there in my pro late in February, it's like I didn't miss a beat. Like you're right on it. It's very accurate, and I've not only that, I've gotten to meet a lot of great people through it, especially through these leagues that I run with a lot of boys down south. I've met some great people that I get to see in real life and hang out with, and just honestly made the best out of the opportunity that we've had. I know you guys put on a lot of races, and I'd really like to get into a few more of those. And now that school's over, I definitely will try to. And it's an awesome way for people to really get to realize how hard it is to be behind the wheel.
And it's a great way to pass some time, especially during the winter. We mentioned the crew, we mentioned the family. I know you got some marketing partners on the side of the 08 car. Who makes it happen to get you guys to the racetrack every week?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been Bricon on there, Mobile One, Vinyl Effects, all the guys that just make it happen. I mean, we've made some few changes to our program, and it's all for the better. I mean, the cars have been great. I can't thank those guys enough. I can't thank my crew, my family, just everyone that allows me to do what we love. And I got to thank the fans. I know how hard it is to come out, how much it costs, and for them to keep showing up week after week to watch us do this, it's awesome. It makes it worth it.
Now, before we let you go, we had Dylan Blankhorn on here a couple of weeks ago, and he said he would come back and be the kind of the guest host role at some point. And he mentioned a couple of names he wanted to be a guest host role on, ask the social media questions, all that stuff. Kind of replace Dylan for the night because Dylan sometimes needs a break, right, Dylan?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we get Cole Boudreau on here, are you up for that?
If you get Cole Boudreau on here, I will be the first person in your text messages trying to be the host. I cannot wait for something like that to happen. The stories me and him have that no one's probably heard are ridiculous. And maybe we might bring a few of them out.
I was going to say, do we rate it like a PG-13 show at that point? Because I know some of the stories that Cole can tell might get a little bit out there.
Yeah, I definitely think me and him might have to go through a couple and see what we each remember from them and what's appropriate to talk about. But I'm sure we can dig out a few for you.
We're gonna definitely have to do that now. I know I've been trying to get Cole to do it. So this has been fun. We could go on for another hour or so. I know you got a sim race to get to. I know Doug Matchett's waiting in the wings. Thank you for doing this. All the best in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see you at the racetrack.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate you guys having me on here. And anytime you'd like to talk again, I'm always free.
Sounds good as last. That's Nicholas Naugle, driver of the 08 car. And Denver, we want to welcome Kings County Performance on board this season. They've been a longtime partner here at Tim's Corner Motorsports, but they are our official sticker sponsor or decal provider for Tim's Corner Motorsports this season. So we want to welcome Jessica Somerville, Larry Somerville on board. Great to have them on. But there's a guest coming up that you're familiar with. Who do we have coming up on the horn here?
Well, we got some excitement coming, Tim, and I say that because we have Mr. Excitement joining us. It's Doug Matchett. He is a 9-time winner on the Atlantic Modified Tour, the 2018 Speedway Miramichi Modified Champion. In 2020, he became the race director, interim race director for Speedway Miramichi, a role he's going to give up as he returns behind the wheel in 2021, but he's worn many hats, and now in 2021, he's added another hat. He is the newly minted president of the Atlantic Modified Tour. In addition, he is the 2020 winner of the Tim's Corner Motorsports, the Hometown Hero Award in memory of Robert Tollinson, and that is sponsored by EIT Race Radio. So a lot of accolades, a lot of hats worn. Doug, welcome to Tim's Corner Live.
Thanks, guys, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Did Denver miss anything there? Because that was a better introduction than I think I could do.
Well, I appreciate the introduction.
I think the only thing that he missed was the Dougie special on the menu in Miramichi.
Forgot that. Whoops. He's a chef. He designs our menu at Speedway Miramichi.
Yes.
We've got a lot to cover tonight, and we'll remind you that we're live and interactive. We're on the Atlantic Modified Tour page. We're on the Speedway Miramichi page. So if you have any stories that we can tell with or about Doug Matchett, drop them below. Dylan Langel's here. He can take care of that on the side. But Doug, I guess we'll start at the front. How did you get your start in this racing game?
I got my start when I moved to St. John, and I was working there, and I got introduced to a couple of friends, and which introduced me to a guy named Mark Price. Mark was on the tour since it started and stuff like that. So just basically started hanging out with him in the shop, and really before then I raced a little bit in Miramichi with some demo cars and some old Dukes and stuff like that, but it was basically just jump in a car and go racing kind of thing. So it was kind of my first taste of what it really takes to get a race car ready to go racing, and so I did that for about a year with Mark, and we traveled around with him, and we had a great year with him. He won the championship that year, and I think we held a trophy on every feature of that year, and it was awesome to be on that crew and stuff like that. And I just said, listen, I need to get one of these cars. I can't stay back here anymore. So Mark actually had a car that belonged to him, and then he sold it to Ricky Casual, and Ryan Campbell actually run it a few races and stuff like that. So it was meant to be, I guess. He had the car back, and they didn't want to race it anymore. So I said, sure, I'll get it, and we'll throw it together kind of thing. So that's basically how I get into the racing thing.
you always remember the first couple of races that you run, and the Atlantic Modified Tour has such a great family when it comes to drivers, officials, crews, fans. What do you remember about stepping into a modified for the first time?
Well, it's like any other car. You just got to get out there and you got to get the laps in. Just go out, see what the car will do, see what you can handle, and just go from there. And like some of the stuff that Mark used to tell me is like, go out and drive the car, keep driving as hard as you can until you spin it, and then you know how hard you can drive that car. So I remember doing that, and I remember we're in Shediac, and it was one of the first races, and we went out and practiced, and I ended up getting into Mark and spinning him out and stuff like that, and I was just like, oh no, we're gonna wreck two cars here before the races even start. But yeah, it's all about time and setting in the car and getting used to it. So
Tim, I have a little something I want to interject
Uh-oh.
here. So, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you don't want to go here, but in those early days, I believe Mark had a little something that he did to your car. What's the story on that?
well, Mark and them they were kind of protecting me, I guess is what you call it. They didn't want me to wreck the car right out the gate. And I remember going. We went over to Oyster Bed on the island, and we are racing over there. And we used to go over there and have a great weekend, kind of thing. And it was my first time at the racetrack. And Mark was telling me about, turn four, the front stretch the front stretch wall comes at you pretty quick and all that stuff. And I was out there and I was feeling pretty good, you know what I mean? And I come in and I was like, the car is acting good and stuff like that, but I just don't have the speed or whatever. And he kind of looked around and he said to the couple other guys that were on our crew at the time, and he said, maybe it's time we take the governor off his car now and give him the full speed kind of thing. Yeah, so the first couple of races, he was the guy that was underneath the hood, and he kind of put like a little fuel stop there for me so that I wouldn't go out and go too crazy at the beginning. So
I guess that's an easy way to ease into a rookie season, I guess, or the first couple of races. We talk about those memories of those first couple of days, but Denver mentioned he's the stats guy over here. 9 wins on the tour. What do you remember about the first one?
the first heat win I had was in Riverglade, and it was I went there, and it's a very short track and it's tricky and there's a lot of cars, and I remember being out front, and the car just was working good, and I was able to stay out front. And I remember that was the first race my mom and dad got to, and to see me, so to roll that into victory lane, even in a heat race back then, was something very special for me, especially at a place like Riverglade, you know what I mean, where a lot of big races has happened and a lot of big names have gone through, right? So that was a big one. And then my first feature win came in Shediac. We were down there and having a good day, and everything was feeling right, and was able to get up front. And again, when you look back in your mirror, you could always see, Mark and Mark Price and Sparky Rayburn and Joe Hoyt. They were always coming. Jamie Weston, they were always the guys that you were just waiting to get passed by, because they're not gonna pull over, or you're gonna have to pull over for them, because they're going by you one way or another. And I get out front, and I seen Mark coming, I seen Jamie Weston coming, and me and Mark, we battled hard for 20 laps at least, a few restarts and stuff like that. And I was able to, he cut me some breaks. I know he could have probably been a little bit more aggressive than what he was with me, but I say that I held my own that night, and was able to pull out the win with Mark in second and Jamie Weston in third. So it was a big night for sure.
We just had a kid on here in Nicholas Naugle that talked about how much he's learned from Cy Harvey and John Fleming and Mike McKenzie. You mentioned some names there, guys like Mark Price and Sparky Rayburn. Joe is still racing, but those guys that that you started out with, that were veterans of the Atlantic Modified Tour at the time. What have you learned from them that you can carry on in your racing career?
It was just, when I started out, I mean, Dave Burnham and Dave Stiles and all of these guys, man, like they built their cars. Troy Ham, they built their cars like for this tour. And when you started, you basically just tried to take everything in that you watched them do. the way they raced, how they raced, where they raced. These cars were back in the day, they were a little bit underpowered, and you know, it took a finesse driver to kind of get these cars around the track and get them to pass cars, let alone get to the front from the back. And these guys were doing it on a nightly basis, and it was unbelievable, really, just to sit and watch some of those races and watch guys get sent to the back with 10 laps to go, and then all of a sudden, with 3 laps to go, they're passing you and you're in third place. It's just like, where are these guys coming from, right? And you just get in behind them and you just try to follow them, kind of thing. So it was a pleasure, really, going traveling to the different tracks and with the drivers and stuff like that. It really shaped my career, anyways, and it was a pleasure for sure.
We are live and interactive on social media. Drop us a comment. We're on the Speedway Miramichi Facebook page, Atlantic Modified Tour. We're also on the East Coast International Maritime Pro Stock Tour, as well as Tim's Corner Motorsports. Dylan, I'm going to ask you for early returns, but I do see kind of transition from what we were just talking about. I see Jerome Tracy is watching. You want to talk about a gentleman that's been involved in the sport for many, many years. Great to see Jerome is watching. We're going to have to get him on a show at one point, because I know the stories that he could share would we'd have to take 2 hours with Jerome.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we gave him a special plaque at Riverside a couple of years ago for 50 years of racing. I mean, he's been doing it forever. But Dougie, it's good to talk with you here. It was such a blast being at Speedway Miramichi last summer. As a demo driver, I have to ask you.
Wait, are you referring to yourself as a demo driver? Because that's a very loose term.
I'm using it super loosely.
Tim, have you been behind the wheel of a demo car?
Not yet.
Well, there you go. Way to go, Dylan.
Hey, thanks. But as a demo driver and being in that giant event with so much going on, you were on the sidelines this year, but working as an official at Speedway Miramichi. There's stresses behind the wheel and on the track. How did you make that transition? I know we may get into that in a bit, but working and organizing some of the events, how did you make that transition, and how tolling was it maybe on you?
It definitely wasn't tolling. Racing, I love every aspect of it. I really do, especially local tracks and stuff like that, and working with Barry and Denver and stuff at Miramichi. It's not, you don't take it as a job, and you just do it for the fun of it, kind of thing. And it was hard last year to set aside and know that I wasn't going to be able to get behind the driver's seat of anything besides the enforcer or at the track, kind of thing. It was hard. It was harder to not be able to drive than it was to put a radio on and help the guys out at the track every day and during race events and stuff like that, and putting some stuff on. And like I said, when we're working with Barry and Denver and stuff, it's the three of us kind of work pretty good together, and we can, if one of us has an opinion and the other ones don't like it, we tell each other and we just figure it out and we keep on going, kind of thing. That's the way she kind of flies in Miramichi, kind of thing. And we just love to go out and have fun, and you know, that's what we try to do. We try to put on a good show, and I'm still going to help out. I still am. I was at the track at 10 o'clock this morning, and I come home at 7 o'clock tonight and jumped in the shower. So it's we're doing some things down there, trying to get ready for the 15th here. And anytime that I'm not racing and Miramichi is happening, then that's where I'll be.
When you're standing at pit exit during these events, are you thinking, what are these drivers thinking? Some of the stuff that they're doing, the daredevil adventures, I'll call it. Does it just blow your mind to see what some of these people will do on the track? I mean, me on the track, I was just, my head was on a swivel just watching people ram into each other. And it's like, are we trying to win a race here? Or are we trying to kill each other?
Nothing surprises me. I've been in those cars, and I'm the one that probably people are just sitting at the saying, what in earth is that lad doing, kind of thing. Because when I get into a demo car, I like to say I want to go out and I want to try to be smart and try to get it to the end. But as soon as I get hit once, it's gloves are off. I'm just gonna send it no matter what.
And you put one of those demo cars on its roof once upon a time.
Oh, it happens. It wasn't even a very hard hit or anything like that. It was at the beginning. I know we did an enduro. I think it was like a 50-lap enduro, and I ended up winning that part of the big demo. And then we would go into the final demo in the middle, and we just lined up. And when the green flag dropped, I turned around and hit a car and upset her. It didn't take too long for it to happen, and I get out and everybody was saying flip the car over and go again, and we flipped the car over, but it wouldn't start. I get back in it, but it wouldn't start. And if it would have, I would have kept on going.
Now, I know we're kind of jumping around here, but there's something that Denver wanted me to put together, and last minute tonight, Paul, roll it. This is the staff race from last year from the Spooktacular at Speedway Miramichi, and let's just say that it didn't work out well for you, but it worked out well for somebody else on this crew. Now, for sake of the highlights, I had to cut it down a little bit because Doug, we have a start and the kid runs away from you. What happened?
I wasn't racing. I don't know. I know what happened. I had planned my car way in advance that day, made sure that, I was going to have a good piece. I didn't want to get beat by the flag man, but you know what I mean? Like, he's a lot younger than me, and he was able to
here comes the excuses.
No excuses, no excuses. He was able to get to the back, and the car that I had planned was the one in line, and that lad jumped in her and took her. So I had to find another one real quick, and Denver went out and whipped her butts. That's what he did.
So I had a car lined up too. All day I had been thinking, what can I get for a car? And the car that I had lined up was Jonathan Dixon's car, which was leading the dash for cash. And the next thing I know, I feel the flag stand shake, and I look down, and there's my car in a pile of smoke, axles deep in the wall. So then I had Sam Jardine's car lined up, and she had an issue with that. So then I saw that car. Robert Legier was there. The car won the dash for cash. I said, "Oh, Robert, can I drive your car?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, sure." I climb in, and then he says, Doug was going to take it. I'm like, well, I'm not getting out of it now. So.
Oh, so that's how that worked.
That's how it worked.
That's how that went down, Tim. But that's all right. We'll give Denver the win. And maybe someday I can redeem myself with Denver on the racetrack.
He hasn't stopped. I mean, it's that one win, I think, is worth your 9 modified wins, the way he's got it built up.
Well, to each their own.
Let's just say I'm disappointed. We had a chance to settle the score here at the Enduro for the TCM Endurance race, the Icebreaker, and that got canceled because it was going to be me versus Barry and Doug.
Come on now. You're saying you versus? Like, come on.
I
all know what was going to happen. You were stacking the field, and me and poor Barry was going to have to go out and race against some young Tucker kid that I've heard of a couple of times.
Now, by the way, we did see that highlight package, and Brittany Hoyt was the flag person for that race. So if we need another matchup, I'm sure she would hop on the flag stand. And I know she's watching tonight, so I'm sure there's going to be a smart comment somewhere down there. But I'm sure she would hop back in the flag stand if you two want to go back at it again.
I'm just saying he has to find somebody that's going to give him a modified, though, this time.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, your motor's not in Chris Wilson's car anymore.
No, it's in mine.
We're kind of jumping around a little bit here, but I want to ask you about that because you were outside of the race car, but you were helping out other drivers whatever way they needed. If somebody needed a part worked on the race car, Chris Wilson had the motor from your car in his race car and went to Victory Lane a couple of times in 2 big weekends, being the Speed Weekend teaser on the Friday night, and then the Mike Stevens race, which is a race that you have won in the past before. So how cool was that to kind of help other drivers out when you couldn't physically be in the race car?
Well, I mean, that's really the purpose of me going out and racing and stuff like that. I'd like to try to help out everybody I can. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm racing or not. If you guys need something, I'm there. You know what I mean? I've always been like that, no matter what. And when I couldn't race and Chris was kind of up against the wall this year and he wasn't, or last year, I guess now, and he wasn't sure if he was going to get out there, his car was ready. It's just his motor wasn't ready. So I was like, listen, man, take the motor, put it in your car and let's go racing. Let's have some fun. We knew we weren't going to make it every race with that car, but we knew that the races that we were going to have it ready to go racing. And Chris is a hell of a wheel man, and we got the car set up right. And I know we were going down to Fredericton that first race, and I was putting the pressure right on Chris. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to go down, we're going to win. And he was like, man, I just want to finish this thing right. And to see his smile, and to see when he went out and he went into practice and he come back in again, and he couldn't believe how well his car was handling and stuff. And tell you the truth, like that was a great experience for me, not being behind the wheel. I was a nervous wreck while he was racing, though. I know that for sure. But uh, Friday night was a great night. It's be weekend. Sunday we went out. We had a couple of run-ins. He was coming to the front again on Sunday. Had a few mishaps or whatever, put him back. And then a few weeks later, we went to the Mike Stevens, and we again unloaded the car, and it was just super fast all day, and we didn't have to really worry about too much. It makes it easy when the car is actually running that well. And I had actually won the Mike Stevens race the season before. To say that, my car won it one season and my motor won it the next, you know what I mean? It's pretty good. I like to go out and especially those big events and stuff like that, and to put on a good show for everybody. So I was glad that Chris was able to do it.
You talk about big wins. Obviously, that Mike Stevens Memorial has to be right up there. Is there any other win that you can think of that kind of stacks up there?
Well, like racing at home and getting wins at home is always good in front of your fans, and well, some of my fans anyways, and uh, family members and stuff that get to come out and see those tracks at the home track, and knowing the history of Miramichi and my grandfather racing there and stuff is just, those are special. But when I get to go to like Petty and 660 and those big weekends and stuff like that, I love the fans there, and just like getting out to different tracks too. It's I go to win. If I don't, I still have a great day most times. So.
And you got a championship at home, and that was one of those championships that was a nail biter. I know Denver was crunching numbers, and correct me if I'm wrong. We didn't know. I almost gave the championship to the wrong person that day because it was so close.
No, he did give it to the wrong guy that day.
I wasn't going to throw him completely under the bus.
He cranked the numbers there, and I don't know where he was doing, but I had the numbers, and it's like Nick was saying earlier, when you're going out and you're running for championships, most of the time you're really not thinking about those championship race points. Yes, when you're getting down to it, yes, they come into play, but most of the time you're just out there trying to get to the front and stuff. And that night, like, I knew that I was close, and me and Joe Hoyt, we were very close or whatever. And I actually stopped on the front stretch after that race because my calculations was that I had won that championship, and that was just in my head kind of thing as I was racing, you know what I mean? And anyways, I was a little upset, you know what I mean? But I thought, well, Joe wanted, he wanted, so I went to the back, and I found out a little bit later on when I was doing more laps in the sweeper, trying to cleaning the racetrack off later that night, and Denver come up and said, "Listen, man, I made a mistake. I believe you are the winner. I'm going to have to take these numbers home and look at it." And it was no big deal. We give Denver a hard time about it every time we get a chance, and it is what it is.
But you may not have got the celebration at the track, but I think you made up for it at the banquet. But yes. What happens at the Nordine Rec Center stays at the Nordine Rec Center, I think.
Well, somewhat, I guess. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have heard what happened at the Nordine Rec Center, but yeah, we won't go there tonight.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It certainly does.
Yeah. We're live and interactive here with Doug Matchett. Drop us a question, drop us a comment. Dylan, I know it's been a little quiet tonight being on a Wednesday night. I know there's a couple of people that are probably asleep, middle of the week, what have you. What's over there? What do you got?
Well, the boss man, Barry Richard, is watching. And,
oh, no.
Barry wrote that we will put him in his place. So I'm assuming that you, Doug, or you and Barry are going to put Denver in his place. Whenever that enduro race happens at East Coast Karting, whether it's in October or whenever. But are you a big fan of the karting? Would you make a trip to the city to do kart bond whenever we get all over this? Tim does those events sometimes. Do you like the going left, right, and here?
Well, Dylan, you have met me. I'm a little kind of big for those cars, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I'm a big dude. I can squeeze in them.
Oh, yes. I'm not worried about squeezing into it kind of thing, but it just, kind of lose the advantage kind of thing. With my own car, I can make up the difference other places, but in those ones. But we went down a couple of years ago now with Tim, and we were in there, and it poured and rained and everything else. We were soaking wet, but it was a great time. We stayed right till the end kind of thing, it was a great time. We're actually looking forward to doing it this year. So hopefully we can get to do it again with all you guys and have some fun.
You've raced modifieds. You were talking about some demo stuff. If money wasn't an issue, or travel in this case, what would you like to ride before you wrap up your racing career? And I know we never say fully retired, but is there anything you'd like to dabble in before it's all said and done?
Um, Certainly, I'd like to go out and try. I'm like Nicholas said, like if it has a wheel and a motor, I'm behind it. I'll go, I'll try it, I'll jump it, I'll flip it, I'll do whatever I need to do with it. Right. Um, I'd love to try a pro stock, just because of the biggest and the baddest kind of thing right now around here. Um, but you know what? I've been in the tour for 16 years now, and even if I had the money, I don't think I wouldn't leave it. I wouldn't leave the tour. Um, the tour is a special place. My car has a special place. You know, being one of the originals cars that are still out there and still racing today, and yeah, I don't think I'd go too far. I'd love to try other things, but modified's where it's at for me, anyways.
Let's say there's an offer. Hey, let's bring some modified guys to Nova Scotia to do a race, and you get to pick the racetrack. Where's the modified tour going?
Well, we have run in Nova Scotia before. We've run in Riverside and we've run Lake Doucette, or how do you say it, Tim?
Yeah,
Doucette. Yeah. We raced down there. I loved racing. Years we raced in Riverside, and what an awesome track. Like it's it's one of those tracks. I know this was back before we, did some modifications and stuff to our mods. You could almost run flat out down there, no brakes, no nothing, just send it in and hopefully she sticks and get her out the backside, right? But it was awesome. When I drive by Scotia Speed World, I always look in and say, man, I wish I could get in there and try that track out. Like it's awesome. That's one of the other things I like about this tour is we don't stay at one track. We travel around, and one week you could have an awesome car, and the next week you don't, kind of thing. And that's the whole point of the traveling tour and stuff like that, to change it up, and the guys have a more of a chance of winning when we're traveling around and stuff like that. So
Selfishly, as the announcer for Riverside, Dougie, I'm curious about your first time going there. You mentioned you were at a River Glade before. River Glade and Riverside, they may share a river in the name, but they're not the same thing.
they're definitely not the same thing. The River Glade, everybody knows, it's a tight racetrack and not really a whole lot of room, where Riverside is, like you said, wide open, couple of lanes. Drive it up top, drive it down bottom, wherever you need to go. The one race that I remember going down to Riverside, and we had actually gone to the island the week before, and I actually blew up my motor on the island. We had this whole holiday vacation thing planned that we were going to go for the island for a week and go racing and stay there all week and then travel across the ferry and go to Riverside for the next weekend and do all of that kind of stuff. And we kind of blew her up in PEI kind of thing one night, and we thought that's kind of ruining the whole racing vacation thing here. And the next day I kind of get in my head, we have a couple of people here on the island that might have a car or might have a motor. So I called up Lowell Affleck. He was actually from Summerside and he used to race back in the day too. And I called him up. I said, listen, Lowell, do you have a spare motor? And he said, I certainly do. So me and my younger brother get in a truck and we drove from Oyster Bed down to Summerside and picked up a motor. And we actually, behind the cottage that we were renting, we started a big bonfire and we changed the motor in the backyard of the cottage. And, those are just the memories you have with your family and stuff like that. And here we are with two 2x4s and a couple of things to chain and lift the motors out and throw them on the back of the truck and switching it out. And I remember getting it started and saying, I don't know what we have here now. And we got it loaded up and we went down to Riverside. And when I pulled into Riverside, I kind of just went on like, oh yeah, we just continued to come on our vacation. We're just coming down to watch you. And then I was able to surprise Mark and then when I started the car back up again, and we unloaded and we're actually pretty fast. And because of our bad finish the weekend before, we started out front. and actually did quite well in the heat race, and then was actually leading the feature race with about 5 laps to go, and I got black flag, the old meatball flag, because it was throwing oil out the dipstick because I didn't have the proper dipstick, so I taped it off. It was oil coming out of the manifolds, and I remember I got black flag leading the race in Riverside with about 5 to go. We kind of hurt the feelings right there because I think we actually could have won that one.
Was that the old Riverside or the renovated Riverside?
It was renovated at that time, like not as it is today kind of thing, but the asphalt and stuff was the new stuff. So it was really fast and really fun.
Did you race at the old Riverside on the old pavement before?
No, I didn't. We didn't when we started. It was already renovated somewhat.
That's all I got for now, Tim. Again, we're on social media here. Feel free to leave a comment for Doug. Actually, you know what? No. We're going to go into the food here. I just remembered this. So, Dougie, when I first went to Miramichi last summer, Tim told me, oh, you got to get this Dougie special. You got to get this burger. And I'm like, well, okay, every racetrack's kind of got its niche thing. I went down to the canteen and I said, I need to get 2 Dougie specials. They looked at me like I was crazy because they thought I was going to eat 2 myself. I said, one's for Tim upstairs. What's the origin of that? And can you tell people what that is and why they should get it the next time they go to Miramichi, maybe on the 15th of May?
Really, the origin was at the end of the night, there was stuff left over, and I kind of just threw it all together and said, here we go, let's try it out. I think the Burger King maybe took my onion rings on a burger idea too, because I had that way before Burger King ever thought of it. But then we had some leftover gravy and stuff like that, and it was just like, listen, we're gonna try it all. So Tim can contest. I think that they're pretty good. So
it's a little too rich, I think, for Dylan. Is that what you told me?
I think it might have been the gravy. Honestly, I think it was the gravy that was just like a little.
Did you dip it in the gravy, or did
gravy was on it?
No. So you're doing it wrong.
Okay.
The next time you tell them that you want a bowl with gravy, and you dip the burger in the gravy.
Okay, that might have been it, Tim. Maybe I shouldn't have had it soaking in gravy.
There was one batch last year, and I think it was the first race of the season, that Annie put a little too much, I think it was onion powder in the gravy, just a little too much. She said she put a little special in it. And it was a little too much. Actually, I think it was the rainout that we had back in August, because it was Brittany's birthday weekend. And she came up, she said, how did they taste? I said, it's a little bit, I put onion powder in it. That's exactly what it was. Other than that, they've been spot on. Now, the question that I have, and we've kind of gone back and forth with this, you got that championship that goes on the menu. The last Miramichi champion that we had, correct me if I'm wrong, was Joe Hoyt. So if we had a Joe Hoyt burger for the 2021 season, because there was no champion last year for the modifieds up there, what would a Joe Hoyt special look like on the menu at Speedway Miramichi?
I don't know, but you'd almost have to put a muffin or a donut or something on it, I would think. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
So maybe one of those burgers with like a donut as a bun?
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what you do.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I want to ask you. We'll transition a little bit into the back end side of things. Change the hats from the driver to the president role. How did you get up there? I know you were vice president for a couple of years. What transpired this year to put you as El Presidente?
Well, it wasn't something that was planned. I think the majority of it, how it went, was I might have a little bit more time than Joe had this year, and he's been the president for the tour for quite some time now, and he's taken a lot on his shoulders over those years, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of stresses that come along with it, and he's still the vice president. He still helped me out tons, and we're working together and stuff like that. I just got a message from him saying that he wants to talk later, so I don't know what that's about, but we'll figure it out. But he's still helping out a ton, and we got some new executive, Brandon and Stacy Medore and Brittany, and so we're just working to try to make the tour the best we can. It's just a title, really. We all work together and we all try to get it done, kind of thing, and we'll see how it goes this year. You know, it's hopefully with this whole COVID thing and stuff like that, we can have a pretty good, you know, season and get the majority of the races in. I mean, we have 14 races scheduled for the modifieds, which is the most races that we've had in a long time. The tracks are starting to see that our numbers are rising, and we got some old veterans coming back into it again with Jamie Weston, and we got Eve McRae and Zine Dutcher and Kim Holohan. All these names that were back in the day. Seeing these cars and seeing how really affordable it is to go racing with one of these cars and travel around and have some fun, and so these guys are starting to get back into it, and the tracks are just seeing it. You know what I mean? And we've all had our bad nights, and the tour has its bad nights too. But we try to go out and put on the best show we can every time we go out there, and hopefully the fans appreciate it, and I think the tracks are now appreciating us a little bit more and wanting us there, and so with Barry and Wayne and Brent and Max and them and 660 and Tim and Shediak, you know what I mean? They're reaching out and saying, listen guys, we want you there, we need you there, you know what I mean? So we're gonna go and try to put on the best show every chance we get. So
looking forward to this season, obviously with COVID at the start of the year. New Brunswick is open for business right now, but I know you guys have a couple of drivers. Brandon Skidmore is in New Brunswick, but from my understanding, his car is still in Spring Hill. So with the border closed, it's kind of hard to get one across. I know Doug McEwen has a car. I saw it for sale, but everything's for sale for the right price at the end of the day. So what's the preparation, I guess, for this season? Maybe not knowing what's going to happen, 2 days, 2 weeks, and whatever down the road.
Yeah, so that's been the whole thing for the last couple of months now, or since Christmas really. We've been just trying to figure it out with the whole seal program that we got going on with our motors now, and there's a few guys that need that done, and some of them that had some work done over. So it's just in that process, just trying. We had Tony Leonard that was looking after it from Nova Scotia, so he can't get up, and so we're just trying to work out these little hiccups kind of thing, and making sure that everybody gets their car done and everybody's able to go racing. So those are just things that we have to take day by day. Really, we can sit there and say, yeah, we're going to get it done this weekend, but we don't know what this weekend's going to be all about, really, kind of thing. So all we can do is just keep preparing and working with everybody and trying to get that stuff done, and trying to get sponsors, and we do have some sponsors coming on board this year, which is great. We're going to be updating that soon and kind of getting those names out there and stuff like that, but those are the things that we have to do to get it done. So we're slowly going to get there. It's coming quick, so we have to get on the ball here, but we'll get it done, and we'll be at the track for sure.
I want to ask you about the competition in the series. You kind of mentioned the Kim Hollohans and the Zine Dutchers and those drivers that have been around for a little while. You've also seen the Ryan Messers come through, the Justin Beers come through. Logan Powers kind of dabbled in it. Greg Butler's kind of dabbled in it. I almost liken it to the legend car division here in Nova Scotia, where you have the veterans and then you have some of the young guns kind of passing through and making it a stepping stone up to the next ranks, whether it be a sportsman or a pro stock or whatever lies ahead. How cool is it to have that kind of melting pot of talent, the old guys and the new guys, and a guy like Doug McEwen who hasn't been in a modified is stepping in and doing some racing.
Yeah, I mean, this was when we kind of first started it. It really wasn't like that. It was kind of guys getting into mods and us trying to retain them. But then as our numbers dwindled, and the Bandolero numbers started going up, and these young kids getting into it, you know what I mean? They thought it was a good stepping stone, which is great for them. You know what I mean? I'm a diehard modified guy, and I'm going to stay in it probably till the very end, kind of thing. But with the Ryan Messers and when he came in, it didn't take too long for that young guy to show us all these old guys how to go racing. He has good support and a good pit crew, and everything just clicked for them, right? They get in, they worked on their cars, they put the time in, and they got it done. And same thing with Justin Beers. They get into a good car. It was Ryan Messer's old car kind of thing, so they already had the good backbone kind of thing, and they were able to get it done, which, you know what I mean? I'd love for them to come back and come racing with us again if they wanted to, or if they ever had a chance to get in the ride. And Ashton Tucker has been in our cars and raced in a number of them kind of thing, and Mary Machine and stuff like that. And most of the time he goes out and wins them, or is pretty close to the front every time. And you can't deny the talent those young drivers have now. And they just use the modifieds as kind of like a stepping stone to get into a V8 rear wheel drive car kind of thing before they went on to a more expensive sportsman or a pro stock kind of thing. So good on them, and you know what I mean. We're more than happy to have other guys and young guys getting into the sport and stuff like that. But it's always good though to have us old veterans, the guys that are going to be there and go racing with and yeah. So
And I guess Travis Conroy is that next rookie per se that's coming through the ranks. It's doing well in the Atlantic Modified Tour. We're watching some highlights from the heat race in the Mike Stevens Memorial, I believe it was, back earlier in the season with Joe Hoyt. And the competition is so close. And I think that goes to the sealed motor program and everything you guys have done. You're always thinking forward. What's next on the horizon? What do you see coming up next for the Atlantic Modified Tour?
So like that's basically what it was. There for a while we kind of get into a stagnant time with the modifieds, and they were slower, and some of the guys that get into it, decided to move away and sell their cars and stuff like that. We made some big jumps in our car, which we did a lot of upgrading and a lot of modifieds or a lot of modifications and stuff to it. The engine sealing package, I think, was probably the best way to go with our cars last year. I know that there was, the year before that, there was, some guys out there that, had a great motor kind of thing. And there was other guys that were kind of lagging behind and and then there was other guys that were in between. But now with the whole SEAL program going on, you've seen it last year. We had a few races, but every week we had guys that are up front, and it would be totally different the next week kind of thing. So we all have a good chance at it now. And Travis, he's doing phenomenal. You know what I mean? He get out of the 4-cylinder and he stepped up into the modifieds. And, every time he goes out there, he's just a young lad that wants to put laps in and get better and better as he goes. And I mean, he's showing it on the track. He's getting up there. I mean, he's third place in the championships last year. You know what I mean? So you can't beat it, right? So
I see Greg Grant is watching. He was a little late to the party on Nicholas Naugle, but I hope he's enjoying the modified conversation. I know he's got a couple of drivers in Nova Scotia that I'm sure would love to sit in modifieds. But Denver, I know your wheels are turning over there. What can we throw at Doug Matchett that we haven't thrown at him yet tonight?
Well, first, I want to throw at him. So, Doug, you were the race director in Miramichi this year. Obviously, you do so much for the track, and I've said for years that but when you were racing, everything you contributed helped in a positive way. But in 2020, you played an integral part in introducing the Bomber division, and we've seen the success of that division. What does it mean to see this class? It's basically doubled the car counts in Miramichi for racing, and there's going to be 20 plus guys out there racing every week. What's that class mean to you?
Well, it's like anything else. Like the tracks are always trying to encourage more drivers to get out and more cars to get out, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle for every track kind of thing to figure out what the niche is, and or the niche, whatever you want to call it. Like we have demo, and but we want to try to keep the racing alive too. And there was a lot of demo drivers that were getting older, and Monday morning's a little bit harder to get up after a demo weekend kind of thing. So they decided that they would try these bomber cars. So me and Barry and Denver, we kind of looked at it, and I said to Barry, I said, I think the 4-cylinders, there was no sense to put another 4-cylinder class out there. And we did try the whole Dukes with the V8 car, the bigger car. It was hard. It costs more money and all of this kind of thing. So I just said, listen, there's lots of V6 cars out there. Let's just make her a V6 car, front wheel drive, and see what happens. And it just blew up. Like as soon as we mentioned it, guys are like, yep, I'm in. I get a car tomorrow. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. A guy can go out and get a car, and in a good week's of work can have the car ready to go racing on a Saturday night with the rules that we have. The rules are basically, safety wise and stuff like that. And we do have a horsepower rule in certain things because there's cars out there with V6s in that got way more horsepower than other cars couldn't keep up with. So we just thought it was better to do it that way. And it blew up. And like everybody that is out there now, they want to get a car. Even the young guys that want to go demoing, they're getting demo cars and the bomber car now. You know what I mean? So that's the way it is. And when you only have $500 or $600 into a car, you can race it all year, cut the H bar out at the end of the year, and put it right in the last demo, and the way you go. So.
And we saw that with a couple of guys last year. Within, I think they did it at the fall shootout race, unknown to them that we were going to throw another bomber race in a couple weeks, and then they didn't have the car for it.
Yeah, that's what kind of happened, kind of thing. They kind of shot the gun a little too early to get rid of their cars, but it was all a good show.
So let's talk a bit about that spooktacular. We're going to forget about the staff race part. We're going to move on to the demo part. You played the role of fireman, and I know there's the jokes with Sam Jardine and the fire extinguishers, but you were trying to fight 3 fires at once. How was that whole experience?
Well, we run out of fire extinguishers almost, I think. At the end of it, it was just like, listen, we can't use any more fire extinguishers right now because we still have to finish this thing and we need some left over. But, that's the way it is. We try to make it as safe as possible for all the drivers. Nobody was in any way in danger during those times. Like, everybody's pretty smart to get out and get away kind of thing, and we figure it out. But there was that one car that just wanted to keep burning, so we let her burn. It was a good bonfire while the rest of the demo was going on.
I want to take a little bit of a step back to the 2015 season, and I know that year you and Brandon Skidmore were working very well together, and you guys actually dominated that season. I think combined you won like 7 or 8 races. What did that mean to have you and Brandon Skidmore were being the powerhouse on the Atlantic Modified Tour that year?
Yeah, that like Brandon's another driver, young driver coming in and got a good car and was able to fit his driving style and stuff really with the mods and he went out and he's one hell of a competitor and all that, and he's fun to drive with and race with. And me and Brandon got pretty close, you know what I mean, in the pits and stuff like that. We were helping each other out, and he was asking questions and I was trying to help him out as best I could, and it just that year it was just things were clicking for us, right? We would call ourselves like the old Talladega Night shake and bake kind of thing. We're going to go out there and do our thing, and it really didn't matter at the end of the night where we were, who was on top, you know what I mean? Like who was first or second or third and where the other person. It was just, we were happy to be there, and we gave one to Brandon and I would take the next couple and he would take another one, and it was just back and forth. It's always great to have those battles, and with guys that you can go out there and run side by side with so many laps and so many races, and it's fun times. And I'm glad that he kind of get out of it and he sold the car and he didn't do a pro stock there for a little while, but I am certainly glad that he went and got his whole car back and was back in the driver's seat, and looking forward to many battles this year with him.
So the 2018 season, that might be one of the most underrated seasons. You got the modified championship in Miramichi, but after a wreck in 2017, you missed that season opening race. But after that, you went on to, you didn't get a win, but you were on the podium 8 of 11 races. And I'm just going to throw this in. You would have had the 9th one if you had pulled that fender out at Petty that race that I told you to. But still, 8 podiums in 11 races, and every race you're up front. You didn't get that win, but that had to be one of the most impressive seasons anyone's ever had. What was clicking that year that you were just knocking off second and third place finishes every single week?
While I raced, I've always tried to learn as much as I could and put that into my car, and I set up my own car and I do my own stuff and my own work and stuff, and I have other people that help me out a little bit, but it's just like that season there, it just seemed that every time I went to a racetrack, I could unload, and my car was pretty much the way I wanted it. It was just, just a matter of, who I was racing against or where I was starting kind of thing, and where what happened kind of. But it was unbelievable to have a car that, you can go out there almost every week, and they knew that you were coming. And that's always a good thing when you drive to the pits. They're like, oh, Doug's here. You know what I mean? Like they know that car's got to be there, and and we don't have that all the time. So I'm going to take it when I can. Hopefully we can get it back to there again someday. But that was a great season for sure. So,
Tim, how are we doing on time? I don't know if Paul's got something coming up.
Yeah, we've got about 11 minutes left. We're going to go to the top of the hour on this one because Paul's got the Fatheads Cup Series at what would be 10:15 our time. We're going to make the last call right now on social. So if you have anything on social, I see Sparky is over there. We'll get to Dylan in just a moment, but I got a couple of more questions for you. One on the lighter side, though, Doug. The worst thing I think that happened in 2020 at Miramichi was the enforcer broke. So you brought the Punisher out. How many tires did you light up on that one? And how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how frustrated was Barry because of all those tires being lit up?
Well, I don't know if Barry was frustrated. He didn't like jacking the car every time I come back into the pits to change a set of tires.
Well, that's the
on
frustration, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's one of those things. It's entertainment, Tim, and you know all about it. And I think that I get excited when I go out and I hear the fans cheering and you know they're getting into it and the rivalry and when you have the enforcer out there and they want the enforcer to hit somebody. It's not if they're going to, they want it to happen. So it's not like we go out there and say, okay, I'm going to pick on somebody right now and I'm going to go. We kind of watch what we're doing and making sure that we're picking on the guys that need to be picked on to get them going or whatnot. But when I go out there, it's just, I'm just going to lay it all out there. If like, I mean, last year we had a birthday party. There was probably 25 kids up in the VIP room. And, they would come down to the fence every time that I was out there with the car. And it's just an old Crown Vic. And they were out there, spin the tires. And that's, all right, I'm spinning the tires till I blow both of them off because the kids want to see it, and I'm not afraid to use the Crown Vic either. If somebody needs to get hit, I'll hit them with the Crown Vic. I don't care if we wreck it or not. Well, we got a couple of weeks to fix it. So that's usually what happens. I don't know if Barry doesn't say that he minds me getting behind the wheel of the enforcer. And we've got a pretty good bumper on the front of it, but I think that I've hit a couple of people and and they remember it happening. So
what did Kevin Brito think of that?
Yes, Kevin Brito. He had a modified and he was actually down. Was it not last year? The year before?
It was this July though.
That's right. Yeah, he came down for the night of racing kind of thing, and he said, "Can I get in the enforcer with you?" And I was like, "Sure, man, jump in." So we were going around and we were going out there and I said, listen, if I need to hit somebody, I'm going to hit somebody. And he kind of brushed it off, I think, that it wasn't going to happen. And there was one car that was kind of sandbagging a little bit. And I said, okay, this is what's going to happen. And anyways, I hit him pretty good. And Kevin just said, man, you guys are crazy. And he said, I'm never getting in this truck with you again, kind of thing. So, yeah.
I want to kind of tell the story about the October race, the Spooktacular, because there's a story that happened on the Friday night that not a whole lot of people know about, and I don't know if we're allowed to tell it, but better to ask for forgiveness and permission or whatever that saying is. Dave Matthews was out at the racetrack, just lost his mother, got to rip around a couple of laps in the Mustang that we had for the pace car. And then you made it special because you came out in behind him and put on a smoke show and some lights and everything else. How neat was that on that Friday night to kind of make Dave's night?
Yeah, I mean that's what we do. We always want somebody to enjoy their time while they're up there, and I wish that we could have more nights like that. More guys getting together and girls getting together and just enjoying being around and doing some things. And Dave was going through a hard time and he was just blowing off some steam, and we were there to let him do it. And when he was out there, doing some laps around, and I decided to go get in the Crown Vic and turn some police lights on and chase him around for a while, and then we ended up burning off a set of tires, I think, that night too. So, but yeah, no, those are the great times that you get to go out and you meet so many great people in this sport. And I know with the tour itself, like just the guys that travel around and stuff like that. And I want to try this year. I want to try to get back into where it was a more friendly atmosphere where after the races we can get together and have a barbecue or have a beverage or whatever you want to do, kind of thing. And we kind of did that last year when we had the whole opportunity with racing on Friday night at Speed Weekend, and then again on Sunday. A lot of the guys stayed around, so we were able to hang out and do some things that weekend. And this year we have a couple of those double headers kind of thing. We have it on Speed Weekend, and we also have another one at 660 where we're racing a Saturday Sunday deal, July 31st and August 1st. So I think we're going to try to maybe plan something on the 31st that night that we can enjoy the night kind of thing, and maybe throw on a couple of Dougie specials or something like that and see how the night goes.
I know from partying on Speed Weekend and a couple of those times at 660 and even Miramichi, it can make for some long nights and some early mornings, but it's definitely worth it. Before we let you go, I want to ask about the EIT Race Radio Hometown Hero Award. We kind of came together, and it's a who's who of names that support this sport and are iconic names, and guys like Rick Balser and Richard Atkinson and Ryan Messer and Troy Burke as well from PEI. How cool is it to be on that award, and in memory of Robert Tomlinson as well, who we lost here about a year ago? How honored is that?
It's always a great honor to be in a list of some of the best guys around the province and the Atlantic provinces, right? That put so much into it. And I remember that happened just before Christmas, and we had a get together here at the house. And my sister came in and said, congratulations. And I was like, congratulations on what, right? And then, I had a bunch of family around, and she started reading it, and I was in total shock. Like, I was like, this is not about me, right? Because I really don't see myself like that. I'm just out doing what I need to do and having fun. And I have some demons on my own, and racing is one of those things that I'm able to go do and forget about other things and just enjoy that time that I'm doing those things. And, she was reading it, and I kind of got emotional when it was happening kind of thing. And it was all overwhelming. And I can't thank you and Brent and everybody that was on that to actually think of my name, let alone give it to me to start off with. And it's a great honor, but that's not what I'm doing it for. It really isn't. I'm out there because I just love the sport, and I want to make everything as good as I can, helping out wise. It doesn't matter if I'm cleaning up garbage at the end of the night or whatever. I'm there to do it, and I'll have a smile on my face, and I'll make fun of Denver while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So
that's what it's all about, having fun, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's all about family and having fun and getting young people back to the racetrack. And that was something this year in Miramichi was the best to see, was the amount of people coming out and enjoying the racing and getting back into it again after there was a lot of people that said to me and said to everybody else that they've been out of racing in the Miramichi kind of for a while now, and they really just decided to come back because there was nothing else to do. It was kind of a good thing for COVID, you know what I mean, for the racetrack and the way it worked out. And we've it's going to go strong, man. I think we're going to have another great year in Miramichi. I think a lot of the tracks are going to have a great year. We got some great things planned, and we even got a motocross track being built right now in the back. I know that hasn't really been out there yet, but we've got a couple of guys that come on board, and they're clearing trees, and we're making jumps. So maybe I'll get on a motorbike. No, I can't do that, right, Denver? We're not going to get on a motorbike.
We shouldn't do that, Doug.
Yeah. Well,
but you might want to be careful.
A little bit different, isn't it?
Well, wasn't it dirt that caused you to go through the air or something before?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that.
Well,
we're not getting on any two-wheel objects right now until we start racing here.
Yes, and hopefully we don't see her modified on two wheels. But just remember, I'm the one that has the flag, so in Miramichi, so there could be black flags in your future if you make fun of me too much. Just saying.
Just show it to me. I'll decide if I adhere to them or not.
I'm used to the finger pointing. It's been lots of times, Tim. Doug's come off a turn 4 under caution. And I look down and there's a finger pointing right up at me.
We are up at the top of the hour, so we could go on for hours and hours on this. But Doug, thank you for joining us. This has been a blast, and we look forward to doing it again. And hopefully this COVID stuff gets out of the way. We can enjoy the long weekend and enjoy some modified racing. This has been fun catching up. We'll see you at the racetrack.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys, for everything you do.
Thanks, Doug.
We've got a big show coming up next week, and it's already booked per se. We had a couple of guests that were planned, and we're going to get it on next week, and we're going to get Paul to bring up the video, because this is going to be an exciting show. coming up next week for episode 14 of Tim's Corner Live, we are going to have Chase McKay on the show, and we're also going to have his father on the show that drove a similar looking car to the one that's on our screen. That's Dan McKay, Pro Stock Tour veteran. And we're also going to have a driver we mentioned a little bit earlier, Jared Butcher, is going to be on the show next week. So our tentative lineup, Jared Butcher, Dan McKay, Chase McKay, next week here on Wednesday night. You're not going to want to miss it. Going to be a big show here. Final thoughts before we send this all off, because this has been a fun show, boys. Looking forward to next week. Great stories with Nicholas Naugle, great stories with Doug Matchett, and it's been a fun show. Dylan, what do you think?
I'm just sad that I can't race at Speedway Miramichi on May 15th. I was so looking forward to. I had sponsorship lined up. We were gonna get a car ready for the demo race, but maybe later in the year. But it was great to chat with Doug. I mean, I saw firsthand him running the show with Barry and yourself, Denver, at the very best fall shootout. I mean, I'd asked him a quick question, and he answered it in the middle of doing stuff while racing was going on. He took 2 seconds to set the record straight about something. So, I mean, you talk about those hometown heroes. There's a guy right there in the Miramichi doing that. And then Nicholas Naugle, I mean, it was so cool, Tim, seeing him win that race last year at Riverside. I'm sure that's not going to be the only one he's going to put in his record book.
Absolutely. And Denver, this has been fun. We're getting up at the top of the hour. Fed Heads Cup Series is on Vidane TV, but final thoughts. I know you're busy this weekend getting ready for May 15th, but what are you thinking?
Well, I wish we had more time tonight. It was a lot of fun. We could have went on so much longer with both Nick and Doug. There's some big things in store for both of those drivers in 2021, and I sure hope we get to see them both on the track because they're going to be fun to watch. But, definitely looking forward to next week. We're getting into the groove now, Wednesday nights, and another big show next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Here's hoping everyone stays safe and we start to see case numbers dropping and stay the Blazes home, Dylan.
There's a shirt. Yeah,
stay the Blazes home.
We didn't even get to talk about your guinea pigs, but we're running out of time. So I want to thank all our partners. We saw them on the screen a little bit earlier. A special thanks to PPM Incorporated and Greg Dow for getting us another monitor here in the studio. After
you didn't blow it
last
up,
week.
Tim?
The other monitor's gone. This one here is not blown up yet, but thank you to him. Thank you to Paul Strickland Jr. Head over to Vidane.net and check out all of the sim racing stuff. Vidane on Facebook. Got some sim racing coming up here in just a few moments' time. On behalf of Dylan Langell, Denver Matchett, thank you to Nicholas Naugle and Doug Matchett. My name is Tim Terry. We will see you next Wednesday night when we say let's go racing on Tim's Corner Live. Until then, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.